Hello, friends. It's good to have you back for the part three of our lectures, becoming a lead green associate. I remain Apoyemi, and in this part, we're going to be considering, like I mentioned in that previous slide, minimum program requirements and some other considerations under the lead rating system. Let's go ahead. For this lecture, we have seven content highlights, minimum program requirements, prerequisites and credit, calculations, credit weighting, applying and registering for lead, different types of review, and also the certification challenge policy. These are the highlights of what our discussion would be in this part three. A number of other subject matters and keywords that will come across in the course of this conversation. So I welcome you again. The minimum program requirements are majorly preliminary guidelines that must be met for a project to qualify for LEED certification. These are the requirements you must check against your project's compliance to be sure that you are set to apply for LEED certification. Number one, um, reason why this is done is to provide clear guidance on which projects are eligible for certification. No confusion. Number two, to maintain and safeguard the integrity of the LEED program. So there are defined benchmarks that will determine the eligibility conditions for LEED certified projects. Number three, to minimize complications that may arise during the certification process. So these three reasons are why we have the MPRs, the minimum program requirement, to serve as a guide for all those who intend to apply for LEED certification. Yeah, so MPRs are minimum program requirement. Even though they're requirements for projects, it's good for me to mention to you that the full meaning is not minimum project requirement, but minimum program requirement. They are the requirement of the LEED program that projects must meet. Alright, so in case you come across that in your examination. So there are three of them. Start with one, must be in a permanent location on an existing land. For LEED certification, the project must be installed on a stable and permanent land and cannot be relocated. If it's project done with modular and fabricated structures, they have to be permanently installed and connected to the built environment. Okay. Secondly, the project must have a reasonable boundary. This is crucial in evaluating LEED projects. Every land associated with the project contiguous to the site must be captured in the presentation for earning points. There's the practice where people leave out some areas that are part of the project for the purpose of getting more points. That is considered as cheating and defined as gerrymandering. So you need to take note of that. There's additional requirements exploration under the reasonable LEED boundaries. All right. The third MPR would be that the project must comply with the different project size requirements. Now I'm saying different project size requirements because each LEED rating system have different requirements in terms of project size, and I will explain that as we proceed. To meet the LEED rating system standard, there are certain size requirements and they are shown here in details. For the LEED BD+C, which is new building construction and major renovation, and LEED operations and maintenance, the project must include a minimum of 1,000 square feet. That's about 93 square meters of gross floor area. 1,000 for BD+C and O+N. For LEED ID+C, the project must include a minimum of 250 square feet, which is 22 square meters of gross floor area. For the LEED ND, we talk about the project must contain at least 2 habitable buildings and not larger than 1,500 acres. And then, of course, finally, for the LEED on the rating system, the project must be defined, according as it applies to the applicable codes as a dwelling. So, this is very important. Okay, what are prerequisites and credits? In the LEED rating system, there are prerequisites and there are credits. A project that is going to get LEED certification must secure the prerequisites and must obtain some credit. I will explain. Prerequisites are mandatory requirements that must be met to earn certification. For every credit category, there are prerequisites that are defined by LEED that must be met before a project can move further to obtaining the credits that apply. Here it is. Missing one prerequisite would prevent LEED certification. All the prerequisites across the credit categories are mandatory. So it is crucial to beforehand ensure that all the prerequisites can be met before going forward to apply to avoid disqualification. For credits are crucial to your project's LEED certification as they determine the number of points earned. Like we said, the number of credit points you earn will determine your certification level. If it's certified, silver, gold, or platinum. Achieving more credits increases the points and the chance of reaching a higher level of certification. Unlike prerequisite, credits are optional here, but you must provide documentation and proofs for every credit that you are attempting. There are guidance that have been provided to assist you in applying for each credit. And it's important that before you start the process of application, you must check that your project is able to meet all of those things set out in the guidelines so that you do not have complications along the way. All right. Now, this is for us to have some understanding of the structure of credit and prerequisite, how they are laid out. The framework consists of some sections. Intent. Intent will tell you the importance of the related topic. Okay, why does LEED consider this category as important? What are the benefits, triple bottom line wise? Now, understanding the why behind pursuing the credit is important in defining the sustainable goals and then to help you understand that process. Right, so the goal is defined. And then the requirement. What do you need to do to satisfactorily or to be considered to have met the expectations of the intent is next that is shown in the guidance or the guidelines that is provided. And again, behind the intent tells you the description of the credit, sustainable and environmental goals, talks about the objectives, the current challenges, and strategies to address them. This is to provide parties with a comprehensive understanding of the problem and the approach the credit is taking. Now, there are also related credit synergies that exist between LEED credits that can be explored to identify mutually beneficial solutions, in your project. This section highlights related credits to simplify the process of improving synergy and to resolve where there are issues of trade-offs. Now, LEED also make available for every credit referenced standards. EPA, ASTM, HashRay, and all that. For every credit, there are reference standards that you must comply with the guidelines set out. So that also is an area you must pay attention to. The reference standards that apply to the various credits or even the prerequisite, you must pay attention to. Some of them will look very similar, but you must be very careful to understand how they relate with the credit that your project is attempting. Also, in the implementation section, you have step-by-step procedures for fulfilling the requirements. This is the longest section in the provision, and the idea is to offer clarity to stakeholders on their roles, actions, and the specific requirements. There's also what we call the exemplary performance, which gives you opportunity to earn an additional point. For a related credit, some requirements can be exceeded, and when you do that, you get an additional point. However, not all credits have this opportunity. And in all, only 6 innovation points can be earned through this exemplary performance pathway. And it includes having a LEED accredited professional on your team offering an innovative credit. Now, for documentation, to confirm that your credit that has been attempted has been complied with, and the proofs and documentation such as drawing, cut-off sheets, site plans, calculations are in place. The documentation section exists to guide you on how the LEED project documents are prepared and uploaded to LEED Online, which is the platform that is used to manage all your application throughout with GBCI. Alright, so good to mention that some credit involved use of formulas and equations to aid inaccurate calculations. Sections like this provide examples to guide you in doing the necessary calculations for your credit. There are pilot credits for new and innovative ideas or strategies that are yet to be included in the existing category. These credits are added to specific projects when they are approved by USGBC. Also, we have what we call the ACP, the Alternative Compliance Path, which are essentially experimental credits. There's that opportunity for you to be able to explore those parts in driving your compliance with the credits. LEED is a flexible rating system that allows building project teams to select credit based on their needs. So you find that different projects with the same certification levels in LEED would have different score sheets with different credits reflecting to have been attempted or secured. This is because you have a choice to select the credits that you consider within your reach, either based on your geographical location or based on the project's peculiarity. Now, points are allocated based on each credit's effectiveness in achieving the system's goal, and more points are awarded for addressing important impact categories. So when you get to see the various credits, you see that they carry different weight in terms of points. While some carry 1 point, some carry as much as 4 points, some 3 points. This is determined based on how much they are considered important in addressing the impact categories that are going to be mentioned now. Take note of these 7 LEED impact categories. Number 1, reverse contribution to global climate change. That is the first thing that must be addressed, is the challenge of climate change. Secondly, individual human health and well-being must be enhanced. Thirdly, we must protect and restore water resources. Number 4, we must protect, enhance, and restore biodiversity and ecosystem services. Number 5, we must promote sustainable and regenerative material resources cycles. 6, to build a greener economy. And finally, to enhance social equity, environmental justice, and then the quality of life in communities. Yes, let's start talking about the certification process. To certify your building, 4 steps must be followed. 1, take note of these 2 for the purpose of your examination. We have registration, we have application, the review process, and then certification. Don't forget, compliance with the minimum program requirement is mandatory for eligibility. In registering your project, ensure the project meets all the MPRs. And this you will get to know by completing the key forms, and you make payment that are necessary for registration. The next steps, you choose the appropriate LEED rating system based on the project type, and then you have access to a range of tools and resources via the LEED online website, which will guide you to submit your application for certification. There are forms to be completed, payments to be made, and then signing of the certification agreement to complete the application process. And then you have full access to the project application. it's important to assemble the project team and begin the documentation process. Team members will be assigned specific roles throughout the LEED certification process. Two key stakeholders in all of the process would be one, the project administrator. This is the leader for the LEED process, and it acts like the project manager. He's the one that will assign roles and responsibility to team members and then oversees the LEED project process. He will be responsible for ensuring the completeness and accuracy of the LEED submission, and it does not have to be a LEED accredited professional. Now, at first, the person who registers the project is automatically assigned as the LEED project administrator, but this responsibility can be transferred to another team member at any time. Now, there is a project owner who holds the property and the ultimate control over the entire LEED application process. He is also going to be taking responsibility for accepting the LEED certification. Now, understanding the LEED campus program and the certification process. The LEED campus program is designed to facilitate the certification process for multiple buildings within a shared site that fall under a single entity. This program is most as applied to educational structures owned by the same entity. This certification can be achieved within a campus in two ways. The group approach. Now, this approach allows substantially similar buildings located in a single area to obtain a shared certification for the entire project. The campus approach allows buildings that share a location and site attributes to achieve separate LEED certification for each project, building space, or group on the master site. Now, this is it. For the group approach, let's assume you have a group of buildings that are exactly the same design and features. Say staff quarters that are 3-bedroom, capacity each, the same configuration, and you have about 12 of them on a piece on a section of the campus. That's a group. The same building features, the same compliance with sustainability strategies, and they are also going to be operated the same way. They have the opportunity to get what is called the shared certification for the entire project. So it's like what we call an estate or a group of buildings. And for the campus approach, you have an entity that owns a location. There are infrastructures, there are green infrastructures, there are sustainable features that are general to every building on that campus. They have taken steps to comply with expectations of LEED for all of those infrastructure and all of those strategies that have been incorporated. But the buildings on the campus are not exactly the same in terms of configuration, geometry, features, and how they operate. They have the opportunity to achieve separate LEED certification for each project on that master site. So you have opportunity to get LEED certification, for example, for your Faculty of Engineering building, for your Faculty of Medical Sciences building, for your Faculty of Law building, also using the same infrastructure base that is available on the master site, right? So that is the difference between the campus approach and the group approach. So it is important to take note of this, and so that they are not missed up. Okay, now this is an image from USGBC that explains the LEED campus concept a little bit more. You can see that there's a LEED campus boundary that picks all of these buildings together. About 7 buildings are within this LEED campus boundary, right? We have about 4 LEED project boundaries within that campus boundary. Now you can see 4, 5, 6 is what we call the group certification, because those buildings are exactly the same configuration. So that is the LEED group certification. So those buildings form a LEED boundary, right? You see 1, 2, and 3 are individual certification. So if there are going to be certifications for this illustration we are looking at, how many are we going to have? We are going to have 4 certifications. 1 group certification that applies to building 4, 5, 6, and individual certifications for building 1 to 3. The building that is unnamed is a non-LEED building, just for the purpose of this illustration. So this is a further explanation of the LEED campus and LEED group certification approach. The LEED master site is a repository for documenting and reviewing campus credit and doesn't receive LEED certification. It is used exclusively to streamline the documentation and review process for campus credit. So, in our last slide, we said how many certifications exist, and we mentioned 4. We did not mention the master site as being eligible for certification. It has only provided a boundary and a repository for us to be able to properly assess the facilities that would be certified. So the process here is stated to register a master site. What are the steps you follow? Now we have LEED volume. LEED volume certification reduces the cost and simplifies the certification process by using prototype buildings that can pursue a common set of credits in one single certification. And documentation is customized for each prototype, providing specific credits that are eligible for certification. As we move ahead, I'll speak a little bit more about this LEED volume. Fees. It's time for us to talk about the fees. Certification fees, registration fees, and other charges are necessary to obtain building certification. As of today, the registration fees for projects for members $900 and $1,200 for non-members. Payment must be made at the time of registration, because within 60 days of registration, you must have made your payment. For certification, the payment for project certification is calculated based on the project size and, of course, the rating system that the project is registered under. And this is due upon submission of the project for review. Additional fees may apply. You're paying for expedited reviews, appeals, and different aspects of lead submission process, depending on what are the requirements for each of the credits. Okay. It is also good to mention that USGBC members can receive discounts on registration and certification fees, depending on the membership status of the owner or the project administrator. There are more information on that on the USGBC website. Let's go. Now we've talked about registering, and we've talked about the payments. Now, how do you apply? Once your LEED credit documentation is finalized, the project will undergo a quality check before submission via the LEED online. After paying certification fees, the Green Business Certification Incorporation reviews the application. And now you've heard me talk about LEED online, LEED online, LEED online. What is LEED online? This is a platform for administering and managing the LEED certification. And this is where you engage to submit your project documentation, you contact the customer service, you upload your document, and there are activity logs that are, visible to all team members. And you can also download or upload the document in one click. So at LEED Online, you'll be getting to interact more with this as you progress on your journey of sustainability expertise. Now, the review process for LEED certification by GBCI. After you submitted your application and made payment, GBCI will begin the technical review process. Of course, it will require input from the project team. The first part is the preliminary review, where the review is focused on assessing the completeness and compliance of your application with the credits that you have chosen and the rating system under which the project is registered. So the team will receive the preliminary review within 20 to 25 business days. Of course, it indicates that the expected prerequisite and credits that will be awarded during the final review. So you have opportunity to look at it and make revision, submit, or you accept upon the presentation. After the preliminary review, we have the final review. Now, after receiving the preliminary review results, the project teams have 25 business days to submit supplementary information for the final review. GBCI would consider any credit or prerequisite affected by the revised information and also respond with the final LEED certification review report within 25 business days. At this point, the credit and prerequisite will be marked either as awarded or denied. Of course, the project team can accept the results or choose to appeal by revising and resubmitting. Part 3. Appeal review. It is optional with additional fees. So project teams can appeal to supplement the application with additional information. Maybe you consider that there are updates that will make you more positioned to get some certification levels. You can always go for this part. So those information are there to meet some credit and prerequisite requirements. You pay the appeal fees, which will vary depending on the complexity of the credit that is being referenced. GBCI would either accept or reject the appeal, or in some cases, request for additional information. Okay. Now it's important to take note of the certification review types that exist. And these review types are actually dependent on the status of the project. We have the standard review. This is the part for all rating systems and is applicable to all credit or prerequisites. We have the split review. This is for projects that are certified under building design and construction, or interior design and construction. So you can pursue a split review where you submit only design credits and rated documentation for design review, and then you submit the others later, for construction or interior design completion. Right. We also have the expedited review, and this is the best solution if the project is time limited. We are requesting GCBA to GBC to pursue the expedited review. We need to cut the time to about 10 to 12 business days instead of the regular 20 to 25 business days. The pre-certification review is an optional review pathway available for a fee for all LEED BD+C projects registered under the LEED version 4, LEED version 2009, and LEED version 4 for operations and maintenance projects. So, take note of this in case you come across questions related to this in your examination. The credit interpretation ruling. This is a question and answer service that allows project teams to receive technical guidance on how LEED requirements, including NPRs, prerequisites, and credits, how they pertain to their project. A lot of times, project teams in different locations try to appropriate the LEED requirement for certain credits to their project, and they're wondering, how does this apply to our project? Are there concessions? Are there other ways? Are there other pathways? And there's that, point of needing clarification. The credit interpretation ruling is that opportunity to do that. So their clarifications are not new requirements, and they exist only to help project teams that are facing difficulties complying with requirements, or those who are not understanding how to achieve a credit prerequisite. You can submit the CRR request via the LEED online with a fee, and then this is important for you to resolve any confusion and complication in the course of your application. Now, we also have LEED interpretations, which provide official answers to technical inquiries about implementing LEED on a project, and they apply to any project certified under a rating system. They set precedence and can be found on the USGBC database. Now, final LEED certification after registering, applying, review, the next thing is certification. After submitting the final application to GBCI, the project team can either accept or appeal the result, with acceptance closing out the project. Before acceptance, the team should confirm that all the requisite and project credit have been, achieved. And then we have said the different certification levels that exist, the project can end. And it's important for you to check upon the receipt of the review that all the areas that you've marked out to be attained have been done before acceptance. Now, to maintain the credibility of LEED certification program, the USGBC implemented a certification challenge policy. Okay. This policy allows for a third-party audit within 18 months of certification to ensure that all project submitters were done with integrity, accuracy, and truthfulness. If the project fails the audit, the certification will be revoked. As we wrap up this chapter, we're closing with case studies, templates, and calculators. USGBC also provides a database of case studies that allows project teams to search and learn from other project strategies. This helps teams to deal with specific challenges in the region or learn about new strategies and other helpful information. And then templates and calculators. smart forms and templates that contain specific requirements for each prerequisite and credit to be filled out when submitting lead documentation via the lead online. Narrative, images, drawings, and other verification records are included on the forms to ensure consistency and ease of review. You can find sample of those forms on the USGBC website. In our next chapter, we will start discussing the various credit categories, starting with the iterative process. See you there.